Hi, welcome along to ArsenalFanTV. Now, you would have seen at the weekend, and if you look on ArsenalFanTV, you'll see it as well, that there were protests again about Arsene Wenger, about the board. They marched from the old Highbury, and this time, instead of marching down to the beer roundabout, what they did is they marched to the directors' diamond lounge, and they stood right outside there, and they were very vocal in their protests. There was banners, Wexit, all kind of things there, calling for Arsene Wenger to go, calling for the board to go. Now, I estimate, and I had a few arguments with some fans at the weekend, but I estimate, looking at it, I followed the march for quite a bit, that there's probably 100 to 200 people involved in it. No more than 200. I was reading in a newspaper that they reckon maybe 300. Listen, in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot of people. It's not, it's not a huge protest. Arsene Wenger and the board members may be looking at it and thinking to themselves, well, 60,000 people in the stadium, a couple hundred people marching with banners, we can live with that. Which, by the way, I think if they are thinking that, that is a big mistake. That is a big mistake, and I'll get to that in a minute. But I want to know, what do you guys think of all these protests at the moment? Do you think they've made their point and now they should just, that's it? Or do you think that, listen, let them continue? I even saw a fan, it was pictured in America at a game holding up a Wenger out banner. So what do you guys think on it? And the thing about it is that there was some people that I sit with at the game, and I was speaking to them on the weekend. And listen, some of those people that I sit with, some of them want Wenger out. When I've spoken to them before, they've said to me, Robbie, nah, it's time for him to go. Quite a few of them. But it was kind of funny that when I spoke to quite a few of them at the game on Saturday, I'd say 90% of them weren't too for that protest. They were saying to me, well, they did the one during the week again at the Bayern Munich game, and they agreed with that one. But after that one, they think that that's it now. They should just call it a day and leave it for the time being. They've made their point, and that's why, for them, they didn't like that protest. They were like, how many more protests are we going to do? But then on the other hand, when I was speaking to guys who were on that protest, they're like, well, Robbie, how else can we get our point across? And we're not going to stop marching until we get our point across, because the board don't listen. And they do have a point on that. The board, we've seen some of the condescending things that, you saw what Sir Chips Keswick came out with last week, which I thought that was quite condescending when he was talking to the fans. Oh, we've heard what you've got to say, and, when it's mutually all right for us, we'll come to an agreement and we know what to do with this great club. I thought that was very condescending. They haven't really spoken directly to the fans, just issued a little statement. There's many platforms they could come on. They could come on air. They could go in the Guna magazine. They could go on any of the, newspaper outlets and, make a proper statement where they're really addressing some of the issues that are at hand with the fans, with the current situation, with how the team's been performing this season. But they haven't really done that. So hence, what these guys are protesting are saying to me is that, listen, if we're not hearing nothing, we're going to keep protesting until we get some action. And you can understand that in a way. You can understand why these guys are saying, right, we need to keep protesting. But then, as I said, on the other hand, you've got other people who are saying, listen, they don't agree with the protests. Arsene Wenger is a guy that we should respect, whether you want him in or out. We don't want to see this guy hounded out of the club. And if we keep doing protests week in, week out, one fan said to me, he feels it's almost like we're bullying Wenger out of the club, and he's a 67-year-old man, and why are we doing this? So, you know what? I can see it from both sides. There's even plans, I don't know if this is 100%, but the rumour is that at the West Brom game, West Brom away on Saturday, that fans are going to get a plane, fly that over, and it's going to have some sort of banner calling for Arsene Wenger to leave. Manchester United have done it before in the past. Arsenal fans apparently planning to do it as well. Do you agree with it, is what I want to find out. Do you think that the only way the board are going to listen, or Arsene Wenger's going to listen, is by continued protests? Or do you think that these protests are futile? That it's not really getting a message across, and it's going to be counterproductive, because what it's going to do is people are just going to turn on the protesters. I mean, it's all on results, isn't it? It's all on results. If you lose a lot of games, the protests will pick up loads and loads of momentum. If we go and we win a few games, Arsene Wenger will feel a lot more comfortable. And I don't know. As I said at the start, I think the worrying thing is that if the board and Arsene Wenger are looking at it and saying to themselves, well, there was only a couple hundred people there and most of the people in the stadium, but I think that's a mistake. Because still, talking to a lot of fans, it is very split. There are still a lot of fans who feel that, they may not join a protest, they may not hold up a banner, but if you speak to them, they'll say, we feel that its time has come for a change and that we should change the manager. And that always becomes vocal after every game we lose. And I think I kind of see a little tactic with the board and Arsene Wenger. It's almost like, let's keep our heads down. Let's get to the end of the season. And then we take it from there. If we sign a new contract, the season's finished. So even if fans wanted to protest, where they're going to protest at? We're all gone. We're all gone away on holiday and that. And by the time we come back, a couple of new players, blah, 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 everything would have cooled down. The only problem with that is that the minute you lose a game in the following season, it all comes right back again. Yeah? You can't just put a plaster over the wound. I think there needs to be some open and frank discussions about the whole thing. As I've said before, if the board think that Arsene Wenger is their man and they're 100% behind him, then come out and say so. You come out and say, this is our man, we're 100% behind him, and we're going to make him sign a new deal, and everybody's going to have to get behind him, and this is where we're at right now. Or if they feel that, no, he's not the man, then they need, me personally, I'll be saying to them, announce that now, that we're going to replace him at the end of the season with a new manager. That gives them time to look through a new candidate. That gives us time to give the man a great send-off. Because I don't like, and I think most fans don't want to see him hounded out. I think even a lot of those people that are in those protests, I don't think, there are some diehard ones in there, by the way. They do want him gone hardcore. But there are some people in there that are like, listen, I don't want to hound this guy out, but it's the only way I can get my message across. I don't know. It's one of those, isn't it? And I'd love to hear from you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the whole situation. But it looks like the protests are going to continue. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens between now and the end of the season.